you have. Tell us a little bit about Let's Create and how it was formed.
Sure. So Let's Create is a venture builder. We came out of a stable of building our own products, specifically one called Let's Trade, which operates the and digital commerce automation in most of the tier two retailers in South Africa. And what we started realizing is that there's so many lessons that you have to learn as a founder to be able to build good products, especially in the tech space. And there's not really too many places to learn that except through experience. And a lot of us fail and some succeed.
Mm.
And Let's Create was created out of a way to really just empower others to follow in our footsteps that we've fortunately done quite successfully. And that we can rather, instead of building all the products ourselves, find ways to build entrepreneurs to just increase their possibility of success a bit better. So Let's Create is a venture builder. We specialize in B2B platform-based technology globally at the moment, and that's what we do.
Excellent. Now, when it comes to the role of venture building in supporting startups in South Africa, how does venture building solve real business challenges?
Yeah, so let me maybe take a step back there. So venture building specifically is about building multiple startups at the same time. So we don't just invest capital. We're like a co-founder on hire, right? So we get involved with the founders and we build with them to increase the level of success. Now, when we say that venture building solves challenges, our approach, it's not us that solves the challenges, it's the entrepreneurs that we are supporting and backing that solves those challenges. Our
Mm.
focus is really about solving very specific problems within enterprise and building to solve those problems. So our methodology of focusing on problem specific solutions
Mm.
really addresses that. So we don't just try build to build. We don't try think we're the smartest in the room. We listen to our clients, or at least our founders listen to the clients, so that we can address their needs and build for them.
Excellent stuff. And just looking to where does Let's Create fit in into the entire picture? Can you tell us a little bit about the approach and even the philosophy when it comes to the business to
Yeah,
business?
sure. So as I mentioned, our speciality is B2B. So we focus on your enterprise level problem solving. There's a couple of reasons for that. Is it allows us to get adoption a lot quicker. And just because we all come from enterprise, it gives us a place where we've got a large enough network to make the best impact. And our approach is threefold. So we always focus on a problem first. So there has to be a problem worth solving, and a client has to be willing to pay for it. If those two don't match, we typically don't do it on a venture. And we look at making sure that any problem that we solve, we can scale globally. So we've got operations in the UK, Australia, soon to be the US. And we want to make sure that anything we do at one area, we can port across the regions that we're busy with. And then we've got a very specific focus on building a platform that only solves that need as a start. So we really get down to what we call micro SaaS, so that we can build a product that purely just focuses on solving that problem, and then we scale outwards. We don't we The way we implement that is through bootstrapping. So bootstrapping is funding a venture through the generation of revenue instead of putting capital behind it. And the reason we do that, it keeps us constantly focused on adding the most value to the problem that's being solved for the enterprise. And then we make sure that the founders, we've got a big drive to not just build product, but build people that can build product. And we've got a big drive to that. We want to build the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Mm.
So our focus is on building the human to give them the skills to build and solve problems instead of just building a platform. So that people focus is a big drive for us. And then there's the grounding nature of it all is, we in kind of a loose term we talk about as kingdom economics. So our faith is really driven in the product and the people that we build,
Mm.
and how we make sure that the profits we generate Part of that is tied into building the next generation and doing that through a faithful base. And those are our approaches.
Excellent. Now, you also feel very strongly about economic access for tech builders within South Africa. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one thing about technology, and specifically the last couple of years since COVID, uh, the evolution of these AI technologies and the ability to really build, is that you, our view is that if we can teach a man, the whole teach a man to fish type of philosophy, right? Is that anyone can solve problems. If you can solve problems and you've got access to the tools to solve it really unlocks unbelievable amount of economic potential for anyone. So instead of us looking at charities or handouts or anything like that, if we can just create a foundation where people have access to be able to achieve that level of freedom, they can build their own future, right? And I think that for us is very important to me, so that we can rather, instead of making people dependent on the structures that we put in place, we give them the tools that they can build their own freedom. And that's in any area is possible, and is what we strive for.
Excellent. Now, what event or person would you say has impacted your entrepreneurial journey thus far?
I think the biggest person that's impacted that is probably my late father. He started Wolf Lawnmowers and Rolex Lawnmowers. He was a very successful entrepreneur in South Africa. He passed away when I was very small, and one thing that he was not able to do was to create a generational business. And by the time I grew up, there there was very little left for my family, and the continuation of that. So I had to start across that. But I think living across his path that he laid for me, and just trying to, build the places that he did well, or build upon the places where he did well, but also recognize the places that he didn't, so that I can focus on building a generational business. And those are my lessons that I've learned, and I hope to create a foundation that other entrepreneurs can learn those same principles from the things that we do. But that's probably been the biggest guiding post in my entrepreneurial journey.
It's powerful. Creating generational businesses. What is the hardest lesson in life that you've had to learn in business, in life?
So I think the hardest, I mean, for me, there's two. I think the hardest lesson in life is that you can do the hardest work, you can be the most consistent, and you can do everything right, and everything can still go wrong. And I think there's a big lesson in that, is that it's not always going to work out for everyone, right? And you just have to have a greater sense of faith beyond what you can see. That's been my biggest lesson in life, is that I will do as my heart truly believes I should, and the Lord will plan the path for me. I just have to trust that. But it can still not work out. In the business, the hardest lesson for me is just understanding the foundational basics of business, right? There's certain practical things day to day that you have to do. The level of discipline and consistency that you have to have across a length of time is undeniable. And that for me is the biggest lesson. And if I say this to a lot of founders, they're like, what makes one founder better than the other? And it comes down to relentless action. If you
Absolutely.
can, for a decade, every day, take small incremental actions, like you will eventually break through. And that for me is the biggest lesson, is no one owes you anything. You have to get up every day and make that action.
Absolutely. You will eventually break through. I love that a lot. And I also, just want to go back a bit where you said it might not work out. I think what happens is that because we have an idea of how we want it to look like, so that's why it seems as if it hasn't worked out. But actually, it's what was best for you, because we do belong to the Lord, and like you said, you are a believer yourself, so it's worked out in His way. and
100%.
and the battle is with us. We need to be at peace with His way.
Exactly. And there's almost never been an event where I looked in hindsight and did not see the the beauty in it, right? So while you're seeing it, obviously you're like, oh, but why that?
Yes.
But at least in my life and my experience, every time I've gotten through any hard time or disappointment in what I thought was going to be, there's never been a place where I've looked back in hindsight and could not see the bigger picture and the beauty in that. And that kind of lets me be more comfortable in times where I don't understand what it is, or I can't yet see that bigger picture in the future, that I know when I get there, I will look back and understand it.
So powerful, Alex. Thank you so much for this. And what business and life advice would you give to your younger self? So you're the Alex that you are now, and you've been younger before. Maybe you've made some mistakes. What is that advice you would give to younger Alex?
Yeah, I've made many mistakes, that's for sure, and I still do. That's also for sure. I think the biggest thing I would give myself advice is start smaller and start sooner. When we're younger, we've got these massive ideas of grandeur, and we want to be the next Elon Musk and the next Mark Zuckerberg and all these things, and we kind of forget the everything that got them there as well. So I would start smaller, be more relentless with the actions that I take would be the biggest thing. I would also be focusing on really guarding my energy in terms of what I focus on and who I focus it on with. I think a big drive in our success individually as humans is who we're doing it with and why. And that positive energy that we have to keep going, which will keep driving you through those hard times. I would be a bit more guarded in terms of that. And then the biggest thing beyond capital, beyond all of these things, like relationships truly
Mm,
compound.
mm, mm.
And that for me is such a thing that I would invest earlier on, is really nourishing good relationships and cutting bad ones, and being very conscious about my energy into those relationships, that I can be dependable on.
Interestingly enough, you are clearly flowing in the spirit. But I was talking about exactly that a little bit earlier on, just relaying some of my experiences when it comes to relationships and friendships and so on. But yeah, that's so powerful for you to speak about this right now. And I guess that one thing that's left is what excites you about the future. Whether it is your personal future or your business future. What excites you?
Yeah, so I think my personal future and my business future is very closely aligned. Like I believe that I'm 100% fulfilling my purpose on this earth by building these businesses, so that those two are very closely aligned. But I think what very excites me is the age that we're in now. So the technology age that we've had since COVID and the evolution of the tools that allow us to build, is that we truly have the tools to be able to create anything, and anyone can do that from anywhere. Like the speed at which we can build, or anyone can build things, is unmatched over this current period. Like the timing of all the moving parts is um, quite divine. And what excites me is to be able to see what's going to come from that. Like the contextual nuances of problems that happen that us in privileged environments don't understand yet, is going to give us a world that I think is so great if we give the tools to people that truly understand localized problems. And that's what excites me, to see what people come up with the tools that we have now to really make this world a better place.
So powerful. making the world a better place and looking at things like sustainability, the environment and so on and so forth. And, I was at our Cape Pulpit business breakfast, and we were speaking there about AI. How do we ensure that, we start implementing AI in our businesses? So I think, yeah, there's definitely possibility in the future, and we need not turn our heads away from what is happening. And like you're saying, Alex, the evolution that is happening, and that is necessary, and that is going to help build businesses. Alex DeBrain, thank you so much for joining us here at K Pulpit. We wish you nothing but success in your business. May God open doors and really just extend your territory and your reach when it comes to what it is that you're doing. Continue to change lives, because I do believe that that is what you are doing through what God has given you. God bless you, and have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you too.
Thank you. Bye bye. Right, family, there you have it. If you've missed this conversation with